It is Monday morning. We made it! We made it to Monday. Huzzah! Welcome, friends, to Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I am your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, and I am on my coffee break. Just a beautiful Monday morning because we're all here and having a great day with each other. Today's show is brought to you by the wonderful and delightful people of the Friends of the Colorado Northwestern Field Museum. What will you discover this summer? And also the Shakespeare Yogi. You can save 50% off of your first private class by using code shakes.approved. Support the show by supporting our sponsors. Also, please go like and subscribe to the Renaissance Stream Guide on Facebook. It's your TV guide of Renaissance Festival entertainment here in the streaming age. We have a wonderful show for you this morning. Melissa L.E. Baker and her partner in crime, Tom Zadoyko, are joining us to talk about their new book, Dare, a collection of poetry and short stories. But what are you up to today? Did you have a good weekend? Did you go exploring? Did it snow on you? It snowed on me. And that wasn't fun because I got used to the sunshine for a couple of days. But let's bring in my co-host and your best friend in the entire world, Mayhemmer!
Good morning!
Mayhemmer!
Woo!
I was holding off the noisy slurp until you got on screen. Are you ready for this? All right, yes. Noisy slurp time. All right. Oh, that's just good internet audio. I don't care who you are. Oh, Mayhemmer, how was your weekend?
It was good. Had a lot of fun from Thursday to last night. Gothic horror gaming, buggle D&D game as I call it. Sleep. And then Sunday side quests, which is inspired by this outfit. It was ignorant.
Yeah, I am loving that outfit. I am here for it.
This might be my Monday morning look after I decided to be a pirate last night. That's a whole other thing.
You look like a Victorian lady who's about ready to go solve crimes.
Yes, like, that was the whole outfit.
You're gonna smack Sherlock Holmes up with some learning right there. That's what's gonna happen. You could be his Irene. You could be Irene Adler.
I would make that dress from the one with you know what?
Rachel McAdams. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Robert Downey Jr. version. Yeah.
I'm thinking about literally all the red fabric that I have right now.
Yeah. What? That's gonna be your new thing. You're gonna be Irene Adler. By the way, fun thing. At the last convention, which was also the first convention, Off-Screen Wife and I went to, which was 5 minutes before lockdown happened. So last year, I know, right? We went to this convention in Maryland called Farpoint.
Yes. And yes.
Yeah, and one of the couples cosplays that we did was Sherlock and Irene. From Sherlock, so from the BBC Sherlock, and it was fantastic. Oh my gosh,
I love it. That makes me
so happy. I was going, instead of having the big coat with my collar popped and the scarf on, she had my coat on because so it would look big on her. Still with the collar popped, and did it up so she was wearing a tube top and then bicycle shorts, but then with the coat on, it looks like it's just, oh my.
I love that. I love that version of the series. It made me so happy. And then that Irene, I was like, oh girl.
Oh yeah. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I just absolutely adore that show. So today's guests, absolutely amazing. What would you say to that? We've both known them for a bit, both have worked with them a bit. What are your thoughts before we bring them? They can't hear you.
People.
They can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
Be as honest as you want to. They can't hear you. They can't hear you.
I want Tom's voice.
Yes, they can.
And I just want Tom's voice like coming out of my mouth.
Hello, I'm Tom Zadoyko. Yep.
And Melissa's been a joy just to get to know and do some gaming and stuff with and just chit chat with. So they're like an absolute joy.
Absolutely agree with you on both counts. And I'm so sorry. I made myself a shake this morning because
For
we got.
Shakespeare.
I see what you did there. No, that's not why. I did it because,
Mom
health.
jokes.
Yeah. Mom. Hashtag mom jokes. If we had a producer on the show, that would be up as we speak. You would have said mom jokes. 9 seconds later, it'd be on the screen. And
Wait, hold on.
yeah, but it requires one of us to be on the ball to do it.
Look, I'm just gonna have it for later.
Just put it up now if you got it. If you got it, put it up now. There you go. So
Good
tell
morning,
me about.
Rachel.
Tell
You're
me.
just in time.
Oh, tell me. So, how are your kids, Cody and Cassidy? Yes.
Okay, first of all, no.
No. We're doing the
I'm
Regis
kidding.
and Kathy.
I know. Oh, my
We're doing
bad.
the Regis
No.
and Kathy Lee thing. Cody and
Oh.
Cassidy.
I was like,
Yeah.
first of all, that alliteration has got to stop.
Yeah, but that's what Kathy Lee Gifford did.
I know.
Her children were Cody and Cassidy.
Bless her. Bless her soul. Bless her heart.
The other day with Gwendolyn, before we were recording, I said, we could just talk about our kids or whatever and stuff. She goes, I don't have kids. I'm pretty sure you don't have kids either. I go, I don't. However, just for instance, so yes, my kids, Cody and Cassidy, we went out and we decided we would go ice skating. And so Hamnet, Susanna, and Judith, they decided they were going to play Crack the Whip. And then Judith and Susanna said, oh, Daddy, this would have been so much more fun if Hamnet were here, but we can't because he's dead. And she goes, and this was pre-recording, so this wasn't cut by anything. And then she just says, you just like stream of conscience.
Yeah.
All of that. I said, yeah.
Yep.
She goes, but also you changed the kids' names halfway through. It went from 2 to 3.
Did.
Back to 2, and one of them is dead. I said, yes. And she's like,
that was
bravo.
Just an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, and she's just like, and she says, oh, I really wish that we had done that live in front of the cameras because that was random, like at her level of random. I'm like, I know, right? I know, but
man.
so at some point, she and I are going to do that. Also, at some point, we need to get the two of you on together. Maybe this Wednesday for Ginger Palooza.
Yes. Oh yeah, I was supposed to have my husband walking back and forth, looking like John Lennon in the background. I mean, that's. I
think this is John Lennon wasn't a ginger.
No, he looks like John Lennon, but he's a redhead.
So he's the musically inclined Weasley child. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
I accept that. I accept this.
Yes.
All right. I accept this. Also, before we bring our guests on that, don't you think music would have been at a higher propensity of the population in the wizarding world?
I mean, you would have thought so, but you also have to realize who wrote that. Oh, I'm done. Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right,
fair enough. You know what? It's good. So let us bring our guest on right now. They are the writer and audio book narrator of the brand new book, Dare, collection of poetry and short stories. They are Melissa L.E. Baker and Tom Zadoyko. Bring them on with Muppet On!
Yeah!
And May has the book right there up on her iPad right now.
Just in case.
I'm a professional. Okay.
That is a huge iPad.
That's the Pro. That's what I do all my cosplay sketchings on. It's a big old iPad Pro.
That is the size of a baby.
Yeah. And it's full of nerd stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Melissa and Tom,
Melissa
welcome.
sent me the book. I didn't sleep, so I read.
Oh.
I was like, are you an insomniac like me? Because then I can give this to you. I might keep you up all night unintentionally. Just like, oh yeah, no, just send it.
Honestly, I'm a speed reader for
good for you.
For content, not exactly for 100% comprehension. It's more like 85. But I mean, they're all like super great reads, and they're not like, it's not like a whole novella. It's just a bunch of short stories and poems. So I was like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
And then my husband was like, what is that light? I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Let me turn this way instead.
I turn mine down to the like lowest notch it can go to in the dark. That's what I do, so as to not keep up off-screen wife.
You being appreciative.
We both stay up till like 3 a.m. and if I have the iPad out, I'm either reading not safe for work fan fiction, or I'm reading, or I'm playing Plants vs Zombies. That's been
that's fair.
Plants vs Zombies. That game's still a going concern.
They have a second version, which is they're going through time trying to find tacos. It's actually really fun.
Okay, zombie tacos. I'm intrigued. All right, so but I just thought I thought of a terrible joke. I didn't want to cut you off. If we were in person, I would have. But but you both stay up till yeah, I know. But there's lag and all that. But you both stay up till 3 a.m. But since you're together, you're not lonely. So you say, "Baby, it's 3 a.m. but I'm not lonely because you're right there."
Oh my god.
Wrapping it back up to the music. Very nice.
There you go.
That joke belongs in 1998.
No, that was that's Rob Thomas.
That is Rob.
Matchbox 20.
Matchbox 20.
20, yeah.
That joke would have been perfectly fine if this show were in the early 2000s, but we're not.
Would not have been able to be
not.
streamed.
Yeah.
No, I know. So, oh goodness gracious. So, how long have you two been working? Because this is debut day. Of the book.
Everything is available. It was up for pre-order on Kindle for like the last week and a half. And then I was slowly struggling through getting the paperback ready to go because it just kept saying silly things like, hey, like the ISBN number that you included isn't correct. And I'm like, but it is. And it's just a whole mess of things. But yeah, it's officially available today, the Ides of March. So
that was done on purpose.
Ides of March because of murder.
Yeah, I mean, murder. Also, it was like, okay, let's pick a day to actually just get this done because we've talked about doing this for ages and ages. And I was like, all right, when can we do this? And he said, well, what about the Ides of March? I was like, perfect, let's do it. Put it on the calendar and then started working on probably the end of February, officially getting everything together, putting it up on KDP, all that stuff.
To be clear, these stories were written and recorded a long time ago.
2019, not that long ago.
I mean, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
They were part of our Patreon group.
2 years ago or a million years ago. That's what I want to know.
It's really all the same at this point.
It's time is a construct, and 2020 was actually 10 years.
Time is a flat circle.
It was 10 years.
All right.
It's a Jeremy Bearimy. We're hanging out in the dot of the eye for forever. And it's
so these stories were all originally created for our Patreon group. That's Quill and Quote over on Patreon, and we were releasing these stories monthly for our patrons on Patreon, and we had so many of them. We're like, well, we should make a book out of them. So Melissa dove into the formatting nightmare that is Amazon and was able to make a book.
Bless.
Yeah. It took so long. Like I put it together and I had it done, and I had officially sent it out in 2020 to a bunch of people who had subscribed. And then I was like, you know what? I should make this into like a real book because some people don't have the disposable income to be able to throw that at us month after month, but they might have $10 to spend on a single book. So I was like, okay, let's do this. So putting it all together, you put it up on KDP, which Kindle Direct Publishing. And then you have to edit everything down so it fits onto their pages correctly. But then once you get that done, it doesn't actually translate into a PDF version that you can make into a paperback book for some reason. They don't have like an export feature of like, hey, you finished your book and it looks real great. Now just make it into a small book that you can actually print. So I had to go back through everything that I had done in my original PDF version and fix it and make it look like the KDP version so that it didn't look like two completely separate books. And that took like an additional 2 weeks. And it just, yeah.
And the cover art, oh my
God. The cover art is an original piece of art by a friend of ours who has also performed at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. His name is Tom Leighton. Some of you might know him. He's a really, really great guy, but he's also a little bit of a recluse. So he kind of for a wedding present, a belated wedding present, put that together. And then I had to put the words on top of it. But anytime you loaded it in for whatever reason, it would look like that when I put it into a preview. And then when I actually tried to export it to KDP to be like the published version, the cover would turn 90 degrees. And that happened over and over and over again for no reason. So I get in touch with KDP and I'm like, hey, why is this happening? And they said, we actually don't know. So just put the cover back in 270. So it's flipped slightly more to the left. And then when it publishes, it'll go straight. And then that took about 3 hours to get it to the right size and the right orientation so that when it flipped over, it wasn't like real weird looking. Yeah, that was a whole day of just figuring out how to make the cover happen. So it's a process.
I did my own KDP adventure a bit back when I put together my comic book I wrote with Todd Brugman's Julius Caesar, Beware the Ides of March of the Penguins.
Oh, the Penguins. Yeah, I was going to say we should bring that up.
eventually, yeah. And oh my sweet baby Yoda, that was a dog's age, just trying to take this very easy to do format. Todd had originally given it to me in several versions of here it is for printing, here it is for if we want to digitize it, here it is for blah blah blah. And oh sweet God, it took forever to get Kindle Direct Publishing to put it right. Finally, I was sitting on the phone. I said, here is just a straight up PDF of it. Can you make this work? And that is how they did it. It was me sitting on the phone with a very nice lady named Irene, ironically enough, from earlier in the conversation, who made it happen. So Irene, if you're watching this, and I know you are, thank you.
I will say their customer service is really nice. Like anytime
it is top notch.
Like, hey, why is this happening? They would get back to me within like 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, and say like, we don't know why it's happening, but here's a solution, and we've talked with our tech team, and this is how it works. I'm like, okay, I'll make it work, and they weren't wrong. But anytime I had some kind of weird something, I was like, here are some screenshots of what's going on. Tell me what you guys are seeing, and then they'll be like, this is what we're seeing, and here's a screenshot. And I just have to figure out what was happening. But they were very helpful. I really appreciate the KDP team, the troubleshooters.
On the audiobook end, they're also really nice. I do a bunch of audiobooks for Audible, and their techs are usually very good about getting back if there's a problem with a recording and getting it squared away.
So this cover art right here, just absolutely beautiful.
It is the scariest and most pretty thing I think I've ever asked anyone to create.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. Yeah, and I'm going to see here if I can zoom in a little bit on it at all. No, I can't. All right.
You try.
I just love that the way everything kind of lined up, where like the words ended up lining up perfectly with the blood spatter that's coming down, and the more you look at the cover, the more you see little aspects of different things on there.
Tentacles, tentacles help. I mean, it's very
it has elements of many of the stories in the book incorporated into the design. I sent Tom a whole bunch of the stories to give him inspiration. He read through I think 5 of them, and then he combined them all into that piece in the span of about 24 hours. It was amazing how he just went, "Oh, I'm going to do this thing. Good. Here's a sketch, my basic idea, and now here it's done."
Yeah. Oh, so Reverend Tommy Abbott, mutual fan. He's a Chaste Treasure super psycho fan. He just bought the paperback. And he's super excited to have books now written by 2 different treasures. Who else in the treasures wrote a book?
Amy Reeder. She wrote a collection of dreams that she had put together over the course of like a couple of months or something, and then published all of that. That was I don't have that one. I think she sent it to me. I'm gonna have to ask Amy if you're there.
Amy, if you're watching, and I know you are, actually far more likely than Irene from KDP watching.
I know, right?
But Amy, if you're watching, and I know you are, let Melissa know if you sent it to her. Also, just drop the link in the comments, because sometimes she's watching and we'll do that.
That's true. Yeah. She has a book that's up on Amazon as well.
Fantastic.
I'm just going to say, as someone who sometimes have the attention span of a squirrel, because pregnancy brain is a thing even after you have your children.
I was gonna say, are you pregnant? Are you dropping specific information right now?
No,
is this a Shakespeare's Coffee Break exclusive, Mayhem?
No, I will find sit in the nearest bridge and jump off of it. That's what would happen.
Oh, wow, that got real.
No,
okay.
I'm not. No. No. I'm done. If you met my two, I'm done.
All right.
I don't need a third thrown in with these Irish twins. I am done.
Okay. Good to
no,
know.
but I'm just saying, I got to read this last night because I am an insomniac. Because I thought I was gonna be doing this by myself and just take over Shakespeare's show. No, but
long story. I got better.
Yeah, I know, right? But just reading them, there's some that like really hit close to home, which was really great. And I'm usually really picky about what I read, mainly because I do like horror, I like sci-fi, I like paranormal, and it's literally all in one. Just all in, and I do like the feels. So for all those watching out there, if you want to be able to just pick and choose some cute short stories and you're into the horror thing, 10 out of 10 would recommend. But there's one that did make me laugh a lot. And I don't want to spoiler alert by titles, but 1, 2, 3.
Well,
4,
no, you
5,
could
6,
tell
7, 8,
me
9, 10. Like I was like number 11 on the Ghost Story made me cackle the whole time. That was this broad is literally just everything.
So that was inspired by a true story, kind of a combo. And the cool thing about the book that I really like, which I had included for our Patreon patrons, and then we included in the end of the book as something called Afterwards. It's just kind of recommended listening for, hey, if you want to check out this story, then here's what I was listening while I was checking stuff out. That story was inspired by me getting ready to open the New Jersey Renaissance Fair, I think in 2019. And I really did have auditory hallucinations because I was sleep deprived. And then later on in June or July of that year, we went to Katie Bourbon's wedding, who plays the Duchess at the New Jersey Renaissance Fair. And she had a very lovely, very Catholic wedding that was very pretty. And I was like, I can put this into a story. I can make this. And that's what that is. And you'll get it in the first paragraph of what's going on. And it was joy to write.
It was great, and the ending is what killed me. So if you had, that's what I was like, and I'm dead. So that would be my first recommend. The one to pick out if you like to hop around collections. That's page 58. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But it was nice. But Freedom I really liked a lot. And that's just like a poem short, but I was just like all night. But I'm gonna go back and read it when it's not 4 a.m.
It's
for
4
more
a.m.
comprehension.
I must be real. I can't get rid of that joke out of my head. I'm so sorry.
No, Matchbox 20 all over the place today.
I know that you're fine.
Seriously, I am really going to have to put on some Rob Thomas when I get off the show today.
Is this a side effect from your T-virus shot?
It might be. It might be. Full disclosure, internet.
Rob Thomas? Like
maybe. Rob Thomas and the soundtrack of Jekyll and Hyde, a show I do not like. In my head.
The songs in it were good. The songs in it were good. The rest of it is overacted.
That was the conversation off-screen wife and I were having this morning. The songs were good, and they do not match the libretto of that show at all. At all.
No.
And all right, let me put it this way. 3/4 of the songs are good. A full quarter of them match the libretto of that show, and they are not good.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah, Tom's just like, oh, yeah, I have thought.
I am blissfully ignorant of this.
Oh, you're
I'm
blissfully ignorant.
So glad
all right.
I didn't experience that.
I'm not like obsessed with musicals, but I remember when that one came out and it was sort of like this Victorian Gothic murder musical. And I was like, this is great. And I was like, well, the songs are good.
See, on the face value of you just saying that, of saying it's a Victorian Goth murder. You had me there, and then you lost me at musical when you hit. just boom.
They're
down.
very
Yeah.
I got him to watch Hamilton, and that was pretty cool because he liked all the historical references.
Oh my
in it.
god, I love Hamilton.
I'm a huge history geek.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
But it took a while to like when I was like, hey, do you want to watch like a rap musical that features like Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is a brilliant auteur, to me sounds like Ross from Friends rapping.
Yes.
He's just David Schwimmer. And he's so lyrically brilliant. I get past it, but like he doesn't sound great when he does it. And I was like, okay, so this is a musical that's about history. And he's like, cool. And I was like, okay, but it's Ross from Friends rapping the whole thing. And he's like,
I don't think he's Ross from Friends. I think he's well, he sounds like half the people I performed at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair with back in the day. I mean, he's almost, if anybody watching knows Ryan McVeigh, he is a Latinx Ryan McVeigh. He is a far ridiculously too talented individual who I hate because he is far too talented, and yet he's a really friendly guy. And you're like, oh, I like you. Yeah. And to answer D. Scott Stewart, yes, this was the Hasselhoff show. David Hasselhoff was not the original Dr. Jekyll, but he was an early Dr. Jekyll.
Yeah. So was Sebastian Bach from
Skid Row.
Yeah, from Skid.
Because we're going back to the 90s and 80s again, apparently.
Yeah, I was like, yes, hair metal guy singing this lead track. Let's do it. Like, he's good too. He's actually one of the better versions I've seen.
It's so, but all right. So apparently, this show right now is becoming all about.
I mean, or we can talk about the book. That's cool too.
No. We all went down this path, and so I'm going to blame all of you, Melissa and Tom. You want to talk about Jekyll and Hyde? We're going to talk about Jekyll and Hyde and how it's crap.
I mean, I will say, if we want to wrap it around to Victorian creepy murder things, one of my favorite, well, it's not Victorian, it's 1920s, but one of my favorite stories that I put together for this was a story I wrote that didn't get accepted for a competition. That was supposed to be a Lovecraftian horror story, and it's called Amelia. And it's about a woman from the early 19th century who finds an article about Amelia Earhart and then just decides to liberate herself from a family that she doesn't care about to go search for Amelia, and it turns horribly wrong. But just like I'd never set anything like that before, and it felt really cool to put together.
I loved it. It was great. It was when I saw the name I was just like, oh, it's just a person's name, and then I was like, oh, here we go.
I got there's a lot of weird stuff in the book, but I'm really proud of it. Like, one of them was I had a challenge from a friend to write a story about an unusual mermaid.
Yes.
And I'd never gotten a challenge like that before. And I was like, all right, man. It involved me looking up what vestigial fins look like inside of manatees. That's a real thing. And that's where I got the inspiration for this. And it gets weirder and weirder as you go. I was so thrilled with how this turned out.
So I have to give you some snaps and kudos here, because I had known you for writing short fiction for many a year now. Going back to your second year at the New Jersey Renaissance Fair, where you were Milady de Winter, writing short fiction about your character and everything she was going through and her journey, and then sharing it with the cast in a
It'll all get
group
published
chat.
too, believe me. Don't worry.
I didn't know that you either A, wrote poetry, B, that you could write poetry. This was a very pleasant surprise, knowing you in one vein, writing wise, and so it was a real fun surprise for me, and I was just tickled pink my butt.
It's a lot more free verse than it is a sonnet. I've written sonnets. It's been a long time, but most of this was. Sometimes I'll sit down at my computer and there are things just sort of pop out of my head, and then sometimes I'll have something that I have to work through, and that's where things tend to come out in poetry.
But it's a great medium for it. I gotta say.
Yeah, definitely. I wrote one that I shared with our Patreon patrons over the pandemic called Conventional. And it was about, I've never met Dante Bosco. I wish I could. But it was about what I think it would be like to meet Dante Bosco at a convention. He's the voice of Zuko in Avatar, and he's also Rufio.
Yeah.
So I got like real into him for like a month, and my husband suffered through that for a while. Avatar is a good show.
Avatar is a very good show.
It is a very good show. When I realized he was a voice, I was like, and I'm dead. Now I have to watch this even more now.
I'm obsessed with voices, man. I'm married a voice actor. Like,
also, he has a fantastic name too, Dante Bosco. It's like,
yeah.
You sound like you need to do something with your life.
And he's Filipino, which I never really realized. And then like just like elevating himself with like he writes poetry too, and it's actually really, really good. He's got really great like slam poetry. And just reading through all that kind of stuff and being like, man, like I want to meet this person, but I know what I would look like meeting this person.
Let me tell you.
Fangirl, you're gonna look fangirl.
Oh yeah,
meeting your hero sometimes can either go very well or very embarrassingly.
Indeed.
I can just say when I met Jonathan Frakes, it was not great.
But he's so sweet.
All the cool factor that I thought I had went down to here, and I turned into a 15-year-old child real quick.
And how old were you? How old
30.
were you? Okay.
I was 30 at the time.
By the way, as you are called, not on this show yet, but you're about to be, Commander Daddy. If you are watching, that's what May likes to call you. And wait, what did I say? I know you're watching, Jonathan Frakes. Hey, how you doing? And
so embarrassing. Embarrassing.
May is so embarrassed that she's messing up her backdrop.
Yes, I
Commander Daddy.
You need to get cool.
Commander Daddy, May would talk with you. We're gonna get you on the show. All right, cool.
My God.
Anyway, continue.
I would just drop dead. I would just be like, why I like tall dudes with blue eyes with beards, and then you look at my husband who's a tall blue-eyed dude with a beard. I'm like, parallel.
No idea what you mean.
Like 6'3", brown,
he's like
redhead
than me right now, just because his chair is more comfortable, and I'm sitting in a kitchen chair. But he's like over 6 feet tall.
It almost looks like you're sitting on the arm of his chair, which is kind of.
I know it does.
Like
It's like yeah.
So I have a beard and blue eyes, but I'm quite short. So yeah. So
well, it's real funny. I'm like 5'2", so my photo op with Jonathan Frakes was comical.
He's over a foot taller than you.
Oh my God, it was so ignorant. And then like, I'll tell this story later. But long story short, I ended up hugging him in the picture while looking like that was my photo. I was like,
you look like his child.
I was like, ah! Yeah, it was real weird. It got real weird.
Oh goodness, that's adorable, and I love it. So, slightly off topic, but on the concept of meeting heroes and also potentially fangirling out about them. Oh, excuse me, I was not able to hit the cough button just in time. I apologize, friends and internet. So, Melissa and Tom, if there were any literary heroes of yours that you got the chance to meet, who would it be? And would you fangirl out about them, or would you be able to hold a rational conversation?
I'm gonna say Neil Gaiman. I didn't meet him. He spoke at my college because his daughter was going to a college nearby at the time. I was at Temple University. This was back in 2005. And he had written a book of short stories called Fragile Things. It was a collection of short stories. He came out and read, How to Talk to Girls at Parties, I think was the story that they based a movie on later. And it's about aliens that come to a party. And he's certainly one of my main inspirations.
Earth Girls Are Easy?
That's what I was about to say. Yep.
I was going to say.
And Damon Wayans.
Jeff Goldblum, Damon Wayans, and Jim Carrey.
Jeff Goldblum.
So I think if I ever met, it would depend. I would love to meet him just in general. I think it'd be awesome to just, be like, wow, thanks. You're an amazing inspiration. I would love to meet him on a level of, hey, wow, I read your book and I really liked it. Like, I think that would be the bigger thing. Because I think I could meet Neil Gaiman and have a normal conversation with him of just being like, hey, I came to this convention and it's so nice to meet you. I probably paid $200 to shake your hand. Thanks so much. I'm glad that we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
But it would be a completely different level of if something of mine got produced into like a film or something, and then it's like, oh yeah, I really like that Melissa Lee girl. Like, she did some amazing stuff this year. I'd be like, like, I don't think I could handle that.
Yeah. Tom, what about you?
They're all dead. So talking to them would be an extra screaming experience. There'd be lots of screaming going on.
You could talk to them. It's just if they talk back, then it's weird.
That would be very frightening. Yeah. I would love to talk to Tolkien.
Yeah.
Because of the history thing.
Because of the history thing.
Yeah.
And I would probably not really talk that much about his Lord of the Rings. I'd be talking to him about his experiences in the First World War and such. But he strikes me as a very interesting character. And I like his works too. People might say Lovecraft, but if people who know me will go, "Oh, don't you want to talk to Lovecraft?" I'm like, not really. I've read his letters. He was one of the most prolific letter writers that history has known. There is a compilation. They saved, I believe, 30,000 of his letters.
Oh, wow.
He only lived to be in his mid-40s, and he wrote 30,000 letters. And those are just the ones that we've saved.
Yeah. Probably a whole lot of like, I'm going to burn this now.
And it's very...
If he were around now, then I would say he'd be one of those people who's constantly hanging out in the comment sections.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He wasn't... he was a very odd character. And he didn't get to... It wasn't until he traveled a lot later in life that he became way less racist. Like, he was reading a lot of this stuff in the beginning. You're like,
for the first at least half of his career, he is ridiculously racist in some. It's thinly veiled at best, and sometimes it's absolutely blatant. He really disliked Eastern Europeans there at the start.
Oh yeah, he did.
Really disliked them, but then he had never left Rhode Island. So finally he got some friends that he was in correspondence with, got him to travel, and he took some trains around the country, and he admitted in his letters, he's like, yeah, I was wrong about this. I've met people now and no, they're okay. And then he ended up marrying an Eastern European woman for a while.
It all comes full circle.
It does. It really does.
Yeah.
Full circle.
So on the being able to speak to an author or anyone else that you hold on a particular hero level or a pedestal or anything like that, for that, I've had the opportunity to meet a couple of people who they did not know I had them up in such high regard, and until I met them, and then when they actually said who they are, because I have a terrible memory for faces going with names. So it's like, I know your face or I know your name. Usually they don't coincide. Just like, you are that person. Hooray. That's why I also call most people my friend. Well, hey, you. Now you know my secret, internet.
There you go.
So the authors Peter David and David Mack. Sci-fi and fantasy writers. Peter David, by the way, is the creator of Professor Hulk. That was then immortalized in Endgame. Internet, you're welcome. So they both come to Renaissance fairs. They both come to Renaissance fairs a lot. They both like my show, and they both have followed me online on all the different things. And I have thrown Peter David into shows multiple times. Finally, after like the fourth time of throwing him into a show, he's like, by the way, he goes, He goes, by the way, I was telling everyone on Facebook, go see your show, go follow you on Instagram, go follow you on Instagram or Facebook. So hopefully you got some upticks. And I was thinking he was just a person with a normal social media presence. Like,
yeah.
And I said, oh, thank you, that's very kind. And then his wife goes, this is Peter David, right? And I said, yeah, we've talked a whole bunch of times now. She goes, sci-fi author Peter David. And I went, Imzadi. Oh my god. But it was a fun and weird experience because I had talked to the man 4, 5, 6 times at length before nerding out about him. Yeah. So it also made it it's like, oh, don't weird out too much because you vaguely know the guy now. This is fun.
Yeah.
And now having had dinner with him a whole bunch of times, and like same with David Mack of just hanging out, and they are my fans as well. It made going to the convention last year much more of a circle of everyone was a fan of everyone else in the room at one point. Because we had Star Trek actors, we had writers, we had me, and the writers were nerding out about me. I'm nerding out about the Star Trek actor. She's nerding out about the writers, and it was just like, but she was like, so who is this weird little man? And they're like, he's Shakespeare, and she's like, okay, sure. But now she follows me on Instagram too. So that
and that's great. And like just like Sally said, I hear some just people. It's true. I've met a lot of, because I'm a weeb. I've met a lot of my favorite voice actors for animes and stuff like that, and cartoons I grew up on, and I was fine with them. It's just that Jonathan's pretty. That's why it was he was the guy that set the standard for what I like in men, just like 7 of 9 set the standard for what I like in women. That was just but
women like, wearing impossible heels that are connected to their bodysuits.
I mean, also like Xena. Like I was Xena, all this. I was like, I am kind of.
Oh, she's still good. When I saw her in Spartacus, I was like, "Oh, girl, get it!"
Half the reason I watched Spartacus was because
that's the only reason I watched Spartacus.
This is
I didn't care about anything else.
I've been dreaming about this since the 90s when I was this is weird but fulfilling.
But it's funny because like I've met the guy that is Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and
I have his autograph.
He's great. Like we get drunk with him before COVID, but we would get drunk with this dude every year at GalaxyCon, now it's called, in Raleigh. Like it's just like a ritual. And then I got like drunk with 2 of the voice actors from Dragon Ball. Didn't even know who it was at first. We bought each other shots. Then we ended up on the same elevator. And then when I realized who it was, because he did the voice, and I went, "You!" And he was like, "Me!" But but back in New Orleans, there's so many people that live there, that are celebrities and stuff that you're just
there.
Yeah, and like you're just trained to be like, oh, it's so, and like nobody really cares. It's just Jonathan's just pretty. That's
100% can confirm.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage.
I lived in New Orleans, and John Goodman almost ran me over once.
Nicolas Cage is fairly tall.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So is Scott Bakula. He's huge.
Dude, he's huge.
He's way bigger than I thought he was.
When American Horror Story Freak Show was filming, I had a few friends on that show, and oh my god, what's her name? Jessica Lange. First of all, that woman can drink some whiskey. Second of all, when you're at the
tea right now.
When you're at the Voodoo Lounge on Rampart, and she's just hanging out. Living her best life, and nobody cares. We're all just hanging out with Jessica. It's just life, But like it's really like, I don't know. I think it's just culturally for us because they're always down there, and some of them have houses down there and all this crazy stuff, Which Sally's right to feel like, oh, they're just normal people. They really are. Jessica Lange drinks like the rest.
Exactly.
So I was bartending down there. At the World War II Museum, because of course there's a bar in the World War II Museum in New Orleans.
Yep.
Why wouldn't there be? And Tom Cruise came in. And I know he's crazy. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
I know Tom Cruise is crazy, but in person, meeting him, such a nice guy. Oh my God, he was so stupidly pleasant. He was
he
was hanging out with his family, right?
He's pleasant, like to people, like to every time I've seen him, he's not.
Everyone that I've ever heard that worked with him was like, he's a great guy. He's really awesome. He always shows up on time. He's really, really like into everything that he's filming. Yeah, he's professional. He's just his personal life is bizarre.
Like he's completely bad.
Tom Cruise.
He's shorter than I thought. Oh my God! Like I knew he was short.
He's real short. He's like 5'6".
Are you familiar? Yeah, he is very short.
Tom Cruise makes me look like a normal-sized person.
Ah. Are you familiar with Jonathan Colton, the musician?
Yes.
He has a song called Tom Cruise Crazy.
Yeah.
I recommend you look it up and give it a listen because it encapsulates him perfectly.
Well, we'll do that right after the show because I feel like if I put it on the show, the video will get taken down by YouTube and also
probably
we'll get sued by Tom Cruise. But anyway, all the Church of Scientology. Let's be honest. Now, so back into the book, Dare, Melissa L.E. Baker and Tom Zadoyko. What made you want to start putting all of this down? I know it originated as Patreon fulfillment stuff, but what made you want to put it in there, put it all together and put it down?
I've always written short stories. That's always been a thing that I did. I remember back in middle school, I would write spooky stories for all of my friends. And it was weird because I would kill them off in their own stories. I don't know if they really liked it, but they seemed to at the time. And it just became something. I had been writing these for so long, but there was no reason for me to do anything with them. And trying to get them published into magazines or periodicals of any kind was a nightmare. A lot of it involved like having to put up $25 to $100 to apply, or it was like 6 months until anyone told you whether or not your story was worth anything.
Oh, and you couldn't submit it anywhere else.
Oh yeah, you can't cross-submit anything.
Yeah.
So after a point, I was like, you know what? I just want to do this. Let me do this as like a real thing and see where it goes. And I took a writing class. Tom bought me an awesome little writing class in like a community organization, and just started doing it. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we just start a Patreon? Everybody else does Patreon stuff. Vince Conaway was like particular inspiration for that because he's done it really, really well for a long time and has been very successful in Patreon. And I was like,
indeed,
let's give this a shot and see where it goes. And we did a whole book's worth of stuff in 2019. I think at the end of this month is our official Patreon anniversary, which you did not know. But yeah, we did a whole book's worth of stuff for what I felt was pretty much a book's worth of stuff. And I, at the end of that year, I gave that to everybody. And I was so happy with it. I was like, you know what? I could probably publish this as a real book at some point. And then just kind of let it go, kept doing other things with Patreon. I've been continuing to make work off of that. So if you guys want to check out the Patreon that way, our lowest tier is $5, and I write brand new original short fiction every month, and he narrates everything.
Yeah, when she started writing all the stories, I was already recording for Audible.
Yep.
I'm like, well, I've got the setup. Why don't I just record your stories? That way you have both a print and an audiobook version. Now, the audiobook version of Dare is not out yet.
Yeah.
Because of the way Audible works with Amazon, the book had to be out in print first before you can even put up the audiobook version. So that will be coming up by the end of the month. We'll have an audiobook version as well.
Yeah. So you can
I am looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, it's fun, and it's I'm excited to get that out to people too. Of just like, hey, here's this version of this book. That's how I consume a lot of books now, is just listening to them online. I listened to every Jim Butcher book pretty much on Audible at this point, mostly because of James Marsters. But yeah, I've
also a very cool guy in person.
Oh yeah, he seems like such a nice dude.
He is. I don't use the word chill very often, but he is the epitome of chill. He is very, very individually cool, like just effortlessly, and makes you want to be like that when you meet him. And it's just very. It was a very lovely experience to get to talk with him in person, and so yeah. But James Masters, delightful. Jim Butcher, audiobooks, keep going.
He's also really good at audiobooks too. Although this, I will say, I'm going to toot my own horn here and say this is probably the best audiobook he's ever recorded.
Ooh.
Yes.
Some of them are content-wise a little
dubious at best.
Yeah.
But they're willing to pay me to do them. I will put it this way: some of them I have recorded under a pseudonym because of their material.
What's the pseudonym? We need to know. So we can go find them.
I'm not going to tell you.
No.
That would ruin the point of having the pseudonym. But
tell that to JD Robb.
Oh, nice.
I like her books. I have a lot of Nora Roberts books.
I have a lot of JD Robb. I think
she writes really well.
She writes fantastically well, and I kind of wish I did not know that she was Nora Roberts.
Yeah.
Just because. Oh wow! Just wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, as a book narrator, going back to what you were saying about is my favorite. Obviously, this is my favorite audiobook that I've recorded.
Of course.
But one of the main reasons for that is that as an audiobook narrator, I find it easier to narrate a book that's in the first person because that way I have a character voice for the narration.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of Jim walked down the street and went into the store, it's more of I walked down the street, I went into the store, there he was. The first person allows me to put a character into even just the background narration as opposed to just the dialogue.
That's a fantastic way of looking at that.
I think it's easier also that the fact that I'm in the same room as him, so he can come out and be like, okay, can you listen to this for like 2 seconds and tell me what you think? Is this the direction you're going? That I can give him immediate input as opposed to 6 emails in 2 days back and forth of being like, hey, is this a character that you wanted? Do you like this direction? Is this good for you? Like, it's so much nicer. What was it for Ghost Story? I was like, okay, make this Michelle Kepner. And he was like, okay. Done.
For those of you who know Michelle Kepner.
Yeah. I was like, if you can narrate this in the style of sarcastic Michelle Kepner being upset about things. And he's like, okay.
That's just Michelle Kepner.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it works.
So you can get Dare, the book of short fiction and poetry by Melissa Lee, available today on Kindle and paperback. Go get it right now. Amazon. Go to tinyurl.com/mct9jbvx to order, or
that's simple.
That's perfect.
Or as Reverend Tommy said earlier, you can also get it at smile.amazon.com/dp/1652507159/ref equals CM_SW_R_CP_APA_ FABC_SSAD87ZDO4Q35V A14GIR for that's for Amy Reader's book. See, if I had read the whole thing, I would have known. I
like Amy. Yeah, support Amy.
Yeah, but
too.
Also, we like Amy.
You want to know a trick? I found this out. If you are purchasing books on Amazon, if you buy 1 book, it counts as 1 sale. If you buy 2 books, it counts as 2 sales. If you buy 3 books, it counts as a bulk sale, and that goes back to 1 sale. So if you want to make my book the top in the gothic horror genre, buy 2. It's the weirdest thing in the algorithm.
But don't buy 3.
Don't buy 3.
Not 3.
Not 3.
Well,
not 1. 2.
What if you're doing the whole thing of you're sending them as because this is the first time I've heard of that. You're sending them as gifts.
If you wanted to do like a bulk order, you can, but it still only counts as 1 order. If I am ordering
so weird
100 books for all of my friends to just give out and be like, hey, look, here's a signed author copy, it still only counts as one bulk order. It's very weird. Their algorithm works that you have to order 2 separate books for it to be counting as multiple sales.
So in other words, tell your friends just to order their own book, and then you'll just sign them.
I mean, yeah, if you bring it to a fair, I don't care. I'll sign it.
People do that with the comic book, and it's weird.
But I'll try.
So you heard it. Not 1, not 3, 2.
2.
That's all you need to order.
This is a marketing strategy proven thing. You have to order 2 books for it to get popped up. It's very strange, but yeah, it works. It works.
Hey, Michaela.
So,
oh my God, she's our realtor. Hi, Michaela.
Yeah, that's our realtor.
Oh, nice.
Michaela, hello.
Michaela Adcock. Yeah, she said,
find them a good house, Michaela. Find them
she's
a good house.
On it. I have to give her my tax information first, or rather, give our tax information.
All right. Also, Michaela, Tom and Melissa don't know I'm going to say this, but one that is simultaneously in a good school district with relatively low local taxes, and also because that's really helpful. That's where our last house was. Good district with relatively low local taxes, and also in-ground pool. In-ground pool. You don't want an above ground. You don't want an above ground pool.
We'll work on the
All
rest.
right.
Actually, I just want a soundproof room to record in is what I'm really going for.
Yeah, so find them that, or a room that is good for soundproofing. Yeah, it's going to be, and also one with a yard that a Shakespeare can run around in. Okay.
Well, and actually, funny enough, that's one of the biggest things that we're asking from Michaela is that we want at least 1 acre, possibly up to 3 to 5. Because we have so many friends who live on the road pretty much full time. We want to have space that people can park their trailers or that they can set up like a yurt. I don't care. I just want to have space for people so that they have a spot to stay for the winter, so that they have a safe place that they can be at for a while.
If we owned the property that we are currently living on, off-screen wife and I, this property would be ideal for that. It is
lawn mow over top of your own internet connection.
I'm sorry?
You wouldn't lawn mow over top of your internet connection?
No, I would not. No, because I am a reasonable functioning person and can avoid digging up the internet connection. Which, by the way, I found out why it's so slow. Not because Jack Monkey over there keeps digging it up, but because we are 10,000 feet from the nearest internet node. So nearly 2 miles, and apparently that is why my connection is as slow as it is, because you're not supposed to be more than 5,000 feet away from an internet node. Wow. And yeah, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Nodes.
We're finally shopping for a house too, and I'm just gonna say there's a spot that I'm looking at that has 50 acres of land, and that's all I really want. So I can have a horse. So I can have a horse again, because here you need at least 2 acres per horse.
Yes.
So I figured 50 is great.
That's a lot.
There you go.
That's like home back on the farm.
So Melissa L.E. Baker and Tom Zadoyko, you can support them on a recurring basis by going to patreon.com/quill&quote. Their tiers start at $5 there. And you can get their book, Dare, a collection of short fiction and poetry on Kindle and paperback at Amazon. Go to that URL that's up on your screen. I've thrown it into the comments as well. Our co-host today, of course, is the amazing, the talented, the brilliant, the awesome Mayhemmer. Follow her and all the things at Facebook, May.Hemmer, Instagram, The Mayhemmer, Twitter, The Mayhemmer, mayhemmer.com, and you can show her some fiscal love by going to Venmo at The Mayhemmer, CashApp, $, The Mayhemmer, and PayPal, may.hemmer@gmail.com, and buy her a cup of coffee at coffee.com/Mayhemmer. And I, of course... Yeah, she really is. I, of course, am your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare. And if you've enjoyed this show half as much as I enjoy making it for you, then I enjoy it twice as much as you do. And that's called maths. And that being the case, friends, whatever you feel the show is worth, a 1, a 5, a 10, for a 50, I will have a book talk with you in your front garden. Buy me a cup of coffee by going to coffee.com/Shakespeare. That's ko-fi.com/Shakespeare. I will find it at some point. Oh, there we go. and buy me a cuppa. Also, go to patreon.com/Shakespeare, become a Patreon of the arts. Patreons get all sorts of great things, including digital editions of my album, Are You There, God? It's Me, Shakespeare, and my comic book, Julius Caesar, Beware the Ides of March of the Penguins. Go do it today. Go to Amazon while you're buying Melissa's book and buy mine today.
There you go.
Yeah.
Two of each.
Two of each.
That's how it works. It works,
Two of each.
though. It does.
So go do all those things. By the way, patrons get all sorts of fantastic treats. In addition to that, you get backstage access and free tickets to Shakespeare's Friday night concert series.
Woo-hoo!
This coming Friday for St. Patrick's Day, belated slightly. Matt Young, The Pride of Ireland, this Friday, March 19th, 2021, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, and the doors open at 7:30. That means the Zoom meeting opens. Tickets are $5 on Eventbrite, and patrons of me and also of The Pride of Ireland get to go for free. So that is something you really want to do. So go check that out. Tonight, by the way, we have a very special show. With the Zenith players, we're doing Julius Caesar, Beware the Ides of March of the Penguins. Yes, it's going to be tonight at 7 p.m. You can watch it on my channels and also at facebook.com/Zenith Players. Thursday night with the Zenith Players, we are doing The Wheel of Shakespeare. And so that's going to be so much fun. It's the to celebrate the first birthday of the Zenith Players doing online shows. So it's celebrating or mourning the first anniversary of online theater. But go do that. So where is that? Oh, yes. Wheel of Shakespeare this Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And then tonight, 7 p.m., Julius Caesar, Beware the Ides of March of the Penguins. And then, of course, tomorrow, here on Shakespeare's Coffee Break, we have science correspondent Janine Rinker has taken over the show. She's going to be talking to us about dinosaurs and fieldwork and all of that great stuff. On Wednesday, we have the Gingerpalooza for St. Patrick's Day. Next week, on Monday, we have actor Justin Davis, a friend of mine from going way back into the prehistory of Shakespeare. He's going to be joining us from Tokyo, Japan. So that's going to be, I know, right? He is an actor out there in Japan now, making movies and whatnots. And he's going to be joining us with a 13-hour time difference. So, yes, that show will be happening twice. The initial airing will be at 9:30. I'm sorry, 13-hour time difference. So initial show will be airing 9:35 p.m. Sunday night, Monday show, and then I will re-air it at 10:35 a.m. Eastern Time. Nice. So join us for that. Thursdays, we have Writing Sonnets with Shakespeare. That is going to be both here and also at twitch.tv/nat21adventures. That is the writer's room where you, the audience, and me, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, write a sonnet together. Only
we're on Nat 21 as well.
I'm sorry?
Thursday night, yes. We're on Nat 21 as well with me.
Yes, Gothic Horror Gaming, yes. And then Fridays, we have not just Shakespeare Shameless Self-Promotion Happy Hour at 5:35 Eastern Time, but also, goodness gracious, we have the watch party for Shakespeare reviews. I believe this one is our season finale at 10:35 a.m. at facebook.com/Shakespeare Proofs. Go like me in all the places, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc., so on and so forth. You probably all have it at this point already. But also, here is your warning, dear friends. March is the last month that this show is simulcast to 3 locations. Starting in April, right after Easter, Shakespeare's Coffee Break will only be at facebook.com/Shakespeare's Coffee Break. So go like and subscribe to Shakespeare's Coffee Break on Facebook, because that is going to be the only place this show airs in first run as of April. So go do that. So basically the Monday after Easter is when we're going to start that. So go do the thing.
Curse you, licensing agreements.
I know, right?
Curse you. Also, just to kind of migrate the entire audience over there, it will be available in rerun on YouTube the next day. So that's how that's going to work. And the Shakespeare's Coffee Break is going to go to YouTube exclusive. I'm sorry, Happy Hour is going to go to YouTube exclusively in the same time period. And also, writing sonnets with Shakespeare is going to happen twice. It's going to be twice on Thursdays. A 9 a.m. show and then the 10:35 show. One of them is going to be exclusively on Nat 21 Adventures, and one of them will then be on Facebook and YouTube. So we're going to figure out the timings for that. But I know Tom's like, yeah, go ahead.
Get a flowchart?
Yeah,
I'm going to need a flowchart.
We're going to have a flowchart of this is here, this is here, this is here.
This one goes here, and this one goes here. And this
because of freaking as you just said, licensing agreements, and then also just trying to collate the entire crowd into one spot, so I can say, oh yeah, here's how many people without having to go look at numbers and do maths. So, but friends, that's about it for today. I love you, you love me. There is mutual glorious affection. Go like and subscribe to all the things from these beautiful people. Go do it. Patreon.com/Quill and Quote, Facebook.com/mayhemmer, and my crap as well. So until tomorrow, I love you, you love me. There is mutual glorious affection. We will see you soon, internet. Bye-bye.